Jimmy Butler, he's a very interesting player to me.
He's like, oh, shoot, I don't know where to go with the ball because I haven't been able to think.
It was a great series. Game 4 was one of the best games I've ever watched in my entire life. Now LeBron's a 4-time champion, and Anthony Davis gets his first.
It's unacceptable. So happy when the Astros lost because it would definitely be a 2020 thing.
Yeah, I was impressed by their game. Braden Point, Andre Palat, Nikita Kucherov, that was the best line in the playoffs, no doubt.
Stay undefeated when they face the mighty Cowboys with Garrett Gilbert.
Hey everyone, I'm Jared Sandler, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week, and this comes as a follow-up, I would say, Austin, to the Thursday night football game, or just in general to the games that happened this past week in the NFL, as my prediction is already wrong of the Ravens going undefeated in their final division matchups as they lost 34-17 or 10 to the Bengals with the new Joe Burrow.
Wait. You talking about the Ravens game?
Yeah.
They lost 32-14.
32-14. Yep. So, and that was with the Bengals team that is now rejuvenated with Joe Burrow.
And now you really have to view the Bengals not as a 4-8 team, but as a team that's 2 games out of the division. That's how you should view them, with 5 games remaining for all 3 of those teams. Now, the Steelers, I don't think looked as bad. I thought their defense actually looked kind of solid, but Aaron Rodgers got hurt again, and the offense did not look good. That's the bigger question mark. With the Ravens, that was one of the worst games I've ever seen the Ravens play. I was watching the game, Kevin. This was obviously on Thanksgiving. I was watching the game with my mom and my dad, and my mom's like, why are they turning the ball over so much? And I was like, you know what? I think they're wondering the same thing too. I think the Ravens are like, I don't know why we're turning the ball over so much. Because why would you keep doing it? Lamar has looked atrocious. I think he's still hurt. I there's no way to me he played this good at the beginning of the season, and then now after injury is playing this bad. It is either the offensive coordinator or he's still injured. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think he is still injured. I didn't have a chance to watch him play, but it does make sense he did rush back from injury given where they were. Yes, they did win with Tyler Huntley, but he's just a difference maker and they want him on the field. So he may be medically cleared, but he could still be in a lot of discomfort, which is why he isn't running as much.
Yes, he has run in his last 4 games, ever since he came back from injury, he's rushed for the most 36 yards. Last game, he rushed for 27 on 6 attempts. But if we look at his last 4 games, which are against Minnesota, Cleveland, the Jets, and Cincinnati, he has 1 passing touchdown and 3 picks in 4 games. And that does not include the 4 fumbles he also has. That is 7 turnovers to 1 touchdown in 4 games. And the Jets had nobody really good besides like Quincy Williams on their defense. Not many good players because they were already traded away. And the Bengals didn't have Trey Hendrickson. And it's the Bengals. Well, I guess we're talking about the Ravens first. How concerned, you're front office member, how concerned are you about this team?
I think you're concerned about the future of this team because if you look at it, yes, you do have Lamar Jackson, but look at the wide receivers. Yes, you have Zay Flowers, but you have an aging DeAndre Hopkins. Bateman is a serviceable wide receiver, but the player that made this team so great is Derrick Henry along with Lamar Jackson. And I'm trying to see how his stats currently, but at the beginning of the year, he had a lot of fumbles. He had 10 attempts, 60 yards. That's not bad. But I do think you have to get concerned about how long this team is going to play well with Derrick Henry as their starting running back. And I believe he's a free agent after this year. So I am concerned about if you don't make the playoffs this year, I think you have to be very concerned about what this team looks like next year. Because they're in a tough spot right now because it's an aging roster. Derrick Henry will be a free agent this offseason. So that's going to lead an important piece is going to be open for the Ravens. That may need to be fixed, but I don't see how they do it. You got to think about the defense. There's a lot of question marks if they don't show what type of team they can be this year by making the playoffs. So I think there's going to be a lot of changes coming to this team in the offseason.
And here's something to note. Derrick Henry's played very well. I think that many people are underrating how good he's been this season. And through 12 games, he almost already has 1,000 yards rushing. He's averaging 4.7 yards per carry. He has, if you go all-purpose, 1,073 yards of offense. And that's including games, obviously, where Lamar was hurt. He has 10 touchdowns already this season. Last game against the Bengals, he had 10 carries for 60 yards. And he had 1 reception for 44 yards. Kevin, that's 11 touches for 104 yards and a touchdown. He is not the problem on this team. I think people just see an aging player at running back and think, oh, Derrick Henry's not playing well, that's why they're struggling. No, it's Lamar or the offensive coordinator. Yes, the wide receivers have been poor. We knew that last year. We knew that the year before that. This isn't a new thing. Something has changed and gotten worse. And it's either worse play calling or Lamar's not playing up to stuff. Because Derrick Henry, while he has not been as good this year, I think that's partially because Lamar's not been as good this year. There is no threat for him to run the ball right now, and there's no threat for that dual action that they always have done. Again, Derrick Henry has been very good. In free agency, I think that a good team should still look at him because, again, he almost has 1,000 yards rushing right now. And 4.7 yards per carry is pretty good for most of those games, especially the Texans game where he had no rushing yards, because everybody in the game knew, okay, where are they going? Derrick Henry. But against the Rams defense with no quarterback, he had 122 yards on 5.1 yards per carry. So a lot of these games, they know, hey, we have to go to Derrick Henry, and he still produces. Except against Houston, who just beat Jonathan Taylor and the Colts. So I don't think Derrick Henry has been any worse than he's been in any previous season. Sure, he doesn't have the numbers, but I don't think he is worse as a player right now. I haven't seen the fall off. And even watching that game against the Bengals, again, he had 104 yards on 11 touches. Why is he not getting more touches? I have no idea. Probably because they're losing the game because their defense is horrible. But there's some serious concerns, I think, on both sides of the ball here. Yes, their wide receiver room has not been good. I think their tight ends are fine. I think that the combination between Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews are good. But Lamar has really struggled. And I don't know what the answer is because I'm concerned. I'm concerned.
I think you have to look at what the answer is. You have to look at their draft picks in general. Because when you're a team as good as the Ravens, you have to hit on those late first-round picks. And I think Zay Flowers is still developing, but I think he's good. You have to look at they drafted a lot of defensive help in this past draft with Malachi Starks being their first-round draft choice and Mike Green in round 2. And you have to look at the years past of kind of what players have done. Let's look at 2023. 2023 was Zay Flowers.
But Zay Flowers against the Bengals had 1 receiving yard.
Yeah. There are a lot of Key Blue Kelly was selected in the 5th round. You have Tavius Robinson, an edge. And then Trenton Simpson, a linebacker from Clemson. I haven't really heard of many of these guys. So it could just be this is kind of what happens when you don't hit all your draft picks. Nate Wiggins was a first. You have Roger Rosengarten in the 2nd round, an offensive lineman. Adisa Isaac, an edge player from Penn State. And yeah, you kind of have to think about a lot of players in the draft just haven't been important players for them. So I think that's an important thing to notice, what has happened for them in the draft. And it could just be they need to hit on more picks because it could be the end of an era for them, kind of with this window with Derrick Henry continuing to produce, and kind of you're going to have to pay him again this offseason.
Yeah, that's completely true. And I don't know where you go here. Let's look though for the rest of this season exclusively. Is your opinion changed based on last week at all, or do you still think that the Ravens are the favorite moving forward?
I still think the Ravens are the favorite moving forward.
Okay. I think at this point they're the worst team in the division. Besides, I mean, I don't even know at this point, but
I don't know about the Steelers without Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback.
well, I think he came back in that game.
Okay, I didn't.
I mean, this next game against the Steelers is going to be huge for both teams. I mean, losing in this game, now they do play each other twice, so it's not the end of the world. And this game is at Baltimore. So if the Ravens win this game, it's not the end of the world for the Steelers because they get the chance of avenging that loss. But I honestly think the favorite in this division right now is the Bengals.
It's not crazy thinking about it because this is a different team with Joe Burrow. The problem is just can their defense. Can the offense outscore the defense?
Well, I mean, isn't that the whole?
Well,
sport?
yeah. But what I mean by you can't expect the defense to make any stops. So
that's why I'm concerned about the Ravens scoring 12 points and having, I don't know, I think the Ravens had 5 turnovers and scored 12 points against the Bengals. If they're doing that against the Bengals, what are they going to do against any good team? Nothing is the answer.
I think this is a bad game. You got to think about the turnovers, but how do the Ravens respond to it? But looking at the Bengals, not every offense is going to perform like the Ravens offense did that night. So it's going to be 40-point games.
Sure, there will be games like that. We've seen games like that earlier this season. The Bills, I think, it's going to be a big game. Obviously, that game is in Buffalo, so massive game there. But you survived that game. Then you have the Ravens again, this time at home. So this game is now... So if you survive the Bills game, you have Ravens at home, easier. Then you play Dolphins, Cardinals, Browns. If you survive the Bills, you play the team that you just 20-balled in your own stadium, and then play 3 bad teams after that. A Dolphins team that almost lost to the Saints, a Cardinals team that is bad, and a Browns team that has a good defense but has yet to prove anything on the opposite side of the ball. Tell me they can't win the division.
They can. It's just I don't know if I trust their defense. I don't trust their defense.
I don't think they play a good enough offense moving forward for them to
I
be
think
exposed.
Miami could put up points.
The Saints' defense is atrocious, and they only scored 19 points on offense if you don't count the 2-point conversion that was returned by Minka Fitzpatrick.
Miami is just an inconsistent team because we've seen them do well against other teams.
This season?
I want to say they put up.
I mean, they
scored
points.
30 on the Bills. Then they also put up. Yeah, they put 30 on the Bills.
They put up 34 on the Falcons. That's the only 2 times this season that they've scored even 30 points.
But I think when you look at how good of a team the Bills are, and the Dolphins just able to get that run game going against the Bills, it shows they have the potential to do it. Now, do they do it every week? No. But I do think you have to be worried about that when you face a Bengals defense that just cannot really stop anything right now.
Well, I think the Ravens defense is worse than the Bengals defense at this point.
I'm going to disagree on that, but I think you still have a lot of guys in the Ravens. I think they just have to figure it out. Where the Bengals, is just who do they have?
I guess we'll find out. I mean, the Bengals didn't have a stretch like the Ravens did at the start of the season, giving up 40 or over 37 points for their first 5 games of the season. And then, again, this past week, the Bengals defense showed life. And I think Joe Burrow coming back gave them life. Hey, guys, we have a chance. Our quarterback is back. And I think the confidence that comes with that does help your team out. Again, that was without their best defensive player by far, in Trey Hendrickson. He's hurt. And they will get him back later this season. I don't know exactly if it's this week or not. I know he was questionable heading into that game. But I just have no confidence on either side of the ball with the Ravens. At least with the Bengals, I know they have a really good offense.
Mm-hmm. I think it's either going to be the Ravens or the Bengals to me that win it. I think the Steelers are in a pretty tough spot given Aaron Rodgers.
Their defense
injury
is the best of the 3, though. And while Rodgers, yes, got hurt in the last game, he did come back. And so if Rodgers can play, I think they're okay. I think they'll survive a little bit of problems that they've had. Because, again, the week before that, they didn't have Rodgers, and they lost by 3 points to the Bears. That Bills game was just a bad game. It just was a bad game. I think that if you look at the last games they've scored before that, I mean, they scored 31 against the Bengals. They scored 27 against the Colts. They scored 34 against the Jets. They scored 28 against the Bears, like I said. So they've scored points. I'm not as worried about their defense, though, compared to the other teams. I think they definitely have the best defense of all the 3. I mean, just comparing it, the Steelers only give up 26 points to the Bills while the Ravens gave up 41. And the Steelers haven't given up 40 points once this season. The most points they've given up was 35 to the Packers, who are a pretty good team. So I think that they're going to keep them in it a little bit more. And if Rodgers can get 100%, I think their offense is good enough for them to win games. Now, again, the title of the video is the AFC North Broken 100%. It's the worst division, and I didn't really expect it to be. I thought there would at least be 3 competitive teams in this division, and that's just not the case. But I do think that all 3 of these teams have a chance.
Yeah, I think all 3 have a chance, and it is kind of a mess because they're all flawed teams, as we've talked about. And it's kind of who do you trust right now, and we trust different teams. So we're going to have to see what happens, and it should provide a fun, exciting way to end the season, especially kind of seeing all these division matchups occur.
100%.
So let us know your thoughts in the comments. We appreciate you listening to Outsiders Opinions.